welcome to the Speaker Connection Power Hour. We also want to spend just a moment thanking our sponsors for 24 and 25. And if you have an opportunity ever to reach out to anybody in any of these organizations, these companies, please do so and indicate you are an active member of the Speaker Connection and tell them how well you're doing because it's awesome the feedback we're getting. We want to briefly review the accessibility guidelines. And I'm going to go to the next slide so you see what we're talking about there. Basically, keep yourselves muted if you possibly can. And we asked if you couldn't, that you'd have somebody that could help you mute when you're not talking, because we want to create an environment that is easy for everybody to hear and participate in. And in terms of visual, looks like you're all perfect. You have your cameras at eye level and great lighting. And then we've already been using the chat box. And if you have a question or comment you'd like to have read out loud during the Q&A period, please type ROL after it. You're welcome to make comments and not have them read out loud or say anything you want to do in the chat box. But if you want it read out loud, please let us know. Any questions about that? Okay. So the next thing is for you all to introduce yourselves. Could you tell us your name, where you're from, and one thing we should know about you? Anthony and Michael, I think we could probably skip you because you're going to tell us more about yourselves, correct? So, Leslie, let's start with you.
In the chat, Leslie says, "Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm from Southeast Georgia and happy to be a part of this network." Well,
All
happy to
right.
have you.
I'm looking at my screen. Yosan, are you up next, maybe? I can read that. I am Yosan Chung, live in Northern Virginia. I already mentioned this earlier, so you already know. Yeah, I'm a big fan of beer, or you can say any alcoholic beverage. Ooh, okay.
She's really turning this into a power hour.
Oh, no wonder she's here, huh? She thinks it's a drinking game. Kevin, I've got you up next.
I'm Kevin Williams from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a dad to a now walking,
Wow.
talking, sassy, 14-month old girl going on 25. I'm a dad to a now walking, talking, sassy 14-month-old girl going on 25.
And about as cute as you can come and be. Uh, Jessica.
She wrote my mom, but I think that's supposed to be my name. It's Jessica Frew. I'm from South Hackensack, New Jersey. I'm a model, actress, children's author, a full-time pre-law student working in a law firm part-time. And she did say my name. No, no problem, Jess.
So I just want to say that this is a very um, busy, impressive group. All right. So
My name is Tammy. I live in New York City. And one thing you should know about me is I am a little obsessed with my cat. A little. Some of you may have heard him a few minutes ago.
Okay. I'm Sarah Blackstone. I'm living in California. And one thing you should know about me is I am also a member of the USAC's Disaster Relief Committee. And yesterday I was really worried about Michael, who lives in New Jersey because of the New Jersey fires. And so I had to investigate his zip code and learned that he wasn't anywhere close to them. So we're very happy to have Michael with us today and that the fires look like they're out or at least well
Yeah, appreciate
contained.
it.
Yeah.
Are you? Okay.
Um, let's see. We've done the introductions and now,
Yes, I am okay.
good. We are glad you were okay for sure. So, now to da 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 da. I'm going to stop sharing in a minute, but introduce our first speaker, Anthony Arnold, um, who is an AA user for nearly 4 decades from San Tan Valley, Arizona. He'll be reflecting on his journey and the impact of AI on communication and sharing how AI has enhanced his expression, happiness, and vision for the future, believing the best is yet to come. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And Anthony, do you have some slides? No. Okay. All right. So it's a take it away, Anthony.
Okay. I'm Anthony Arnold, an augmentative and alternative communicator from Santan Valley, Arizona. Some of you on this conference call may have had the opportunity to get to know me over the years. I have always given the impression of being a dynamic communicator, but something was always in the shadow and wasn't exposed until I started talking about it. When I attended school in the 1980s and 1990s, there were few resources available to teach someone like me how to read and spell effectively. Therefore, my parents and teachers chose to send me down to the special education classroom, where I could receive personalized attention with reading and spelling. While this approach may sound suitable, I took a few weeks to complete a spelling and reading unit. Because I couldn't vocalize words, I needed to form mental images of them, which was a time-consuming process. I fell further behind year after year, affecting me in subjects where I once demonstrated strength, especially when a word wasn't programmed into my communication device. I then needed to resort to spelling. Matters came ahead a little in high school when I was introduced to word prediction on my communication device and computer, where I only needed to know the first few letters of a word. However, it wasn't accurate, especially when I entered adulthood with responsibilities I didn't have during my childhood, such as gaining employment and writing articles and papers for conferences. I always stuck with my stick speech and never expanded, showcasing my accurate intelligence, which was frustrating and embarrassing. Let's say I was good at making excuses for not submitting papers to conferences, especially when asked to. In the fall of 2022, I began to hear about a new artificial intelligence (AI) technology. At first, I didn't think it could help me with spelling and grammar, but then I heard of a software called Grammarly, which was built on AI. I decided to examine this to see how it might help address my spelling deficit. Then, after a few months, I began to notice that I was becoming more confident with writing and using a broader vocabulary, and I wanted more and more as time passed. I have also seen a significant improvement in my language generation on my communication device, which has increased my overall confidence in communication, indicating that it is transferring to all environments. Grammarly is helping me because it's a seamless add-on to Google Chrome and my other Apple devices, which are familiar environments. I'm writing this speech using Google Drive, and Grammarly is on the side. AI instantly proofreads what I write and offers suggestions on spelling and how I might improve it. I have a virtual tutor available 24/7, accessible on various devices. I would have loved to have had this available in school because it would have likely made a difference in my learning of multiple things. In addition to deploying Grammarly for writing, I also examined how effectively I was communicating on my communication device. I was using an overlay consisting of 144 locations for several years, which was great for older devices that didn't have dynamic displays to provide visible clues and labeling of content. I was going by what certain professionals in the field were telling me: you have used this overlay for years, so why change courses now? I respected their opinion. Who wouldn't? I continued to use the 144 location overlay for years, watching as my determination to communicate continued to deteriorate because 144 was too overwhelming, mainly when my spasticity affected my effectiveness at times. My desire to communicate was almost non-existent, which was disheartening to observe, and I needed to take action to revive it. I took myself down to an 84 grid with a keyguard, and I haven't only regained my desire, but it hasn't been as strong before. I needed a more effective graphical representation and labeling of specific words to enhance my communication and literacy skills. It isn't letting up yet, and it has been almost 2 years since I changed my approach to communication. In closing, I would say don't get stuck in a rut if you believe that you could achieve communication in another way. You're your best advocate. Always take time to explore other alternatives, and you may be surprised at what it leads to, especially when you discover untapped possibilities. Thank you.
That is so interesting and important. Thank you, Anthony. All right, then I'm going to share my screen again. And thank you, Kevin, for the calling me Miss Techie Sarah, because I know your tongue is deeply embedded in your cheek. And I'm a sassy 82-year-old. Okay, so onward we go. Sharing her screen again,
Very
finding.
interesting, Anthony.
Okay, Michael, you're up next. Michael is a motivational speaker and entrepreneur who's used his aid communication device since he was only 5 years old. He's also the founder of Beyond the Chair. He raises awareness about disability and inclusion and the challenges of building a business. He does all this in his spare time because he's also co-founded New Jersey's first official power soccer team. All right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Fondocaro. As of yesterday, I am 28 years old. Wow, that feels weird to say. Anyway, I'm the founder of Beyond the Chair. Beyond the Chair is my motivational speaking business, which I give motivational speeches about disability awareness and how people similar to me would like to be treated. I also talk about what I do in my life despite my disability. Before I go into what I'm doing with my business right now, I would like to explain how I got started. Originally, Beyond the Chair started as a small part of my high school suicide awareness program. We would present it to the freshman class. After a few years, the school decided the entire district staff needed to see it. When principals saw my part of the presentation, they contacted me afterwards, saying that they would love to have me come present to their students. That was when I knew I had something special. That was when I knew I had to spread my message that disability doesn't define who we are, and we don't want to be treated differently. My first official presentation was at a school in my town. I have to say, I was very nervous doing my presentation, even though I did a shorter version of it multiple times before. I think it was because I was now influencing younger students. Also, it was my first paid presentation, so that added to my initial nervousness. However, as soon as I got in front of the students, I felt fine, and my first presentation went amazing. All of the students were very receptive, and they asked me so many questions. It felt awesome. Even the principal of the school was amazed by my presentation. This was just the beginning of Beyond the Chair. Other principals heard about my presentation and they emailed me about coming to their school and presenting to their students. Before I move on, I should explain how exactly Beyond the Chair expanded outside of just my town. After one of my hometown presentations, the principal came up to me and said, "You have to take this on the road. Your message is so powerful. Everybody needs to hear it." She was the one who motivated me to make my presentation an official business, not just something I do for my home school district. At this point, I realized I needed to figure out how much I would charge for a presentation, what my business would be called, along with other things. Let me tell you, figuring out how much to charge for each presentation was one of the most challenging aspects I had. I had very little expenses to run my business. Therefore, I had to estimate what my time and experience was worth. After some thought and discussion, I came up with a price I believed was reasonable. After a couple presentations, I started to become less nervous because I was getting used to presenting to younger students. Also, I began to do a question and answer section at the end of my presentation. Oh boy, I was not expecting what they were going to ask. Sure, there were normal questions, like, what is your favorite color? And what video games do you like? But at most of the schools, I was asked this one question: how do you sleep? The first time I was asked this question, I literally did not know how to answer it. After a moment, I said, I sleep just like you do in my bed. I thought it was just a one-off question. No, I kept getting asked this exact question, and I was so confused. One day after a presentation, I thought about this question for a while, and then I realized what they meant. They were actually wondering if and how I get up out of my chair and get into bed. Once I figured out what they actually wanted to know, I started to explain to the students that I could get out of my chair and lay down in my bed. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a couple of years so we can get to the major turning point of my business. It was Christmas Eve, and the cousins were doing a gift exchange where nobody knows who is going to give them their gift. My cousin comes up to me and hands me a folder. Inside the folder, I am not kidding, is a professionally designed logo and also a fully developed website for my business. She also created multiple social media accounts for my business. I was in absolute shock. I literally could not move. Once I caught my breath, I thanked my cousin a million times. A few days later, my cousin came over so she could explain how to manage the website and what features my website had. For instance, people could submit a request for me to come present. This was game-changing because now I had somewhere to send people where they could get more information about my presentation. From this point on, I was able to share information about my business with anyone who was interested. This definitely increased my credibility, and also it allowed me to start marketing my business. With the social media accounts, I could post about the presentations I did and then use hashtags to make the post reach a larger audience. This larger audience eventually led me to an opportunity in Massachusetts. One of my dad's cousins reached out to me and told me their daughter's school was reading Out of My Mind. Amazing book and movie, by the way. Anyway, they wanted me to come to the school in Massachusetts and give my presentation to the entire middle school, which was over 500 students. When this opportunity initially reached me, I thought to myself, holy crap, this is actually happening. After figuring out travel plans and logistics, it became official. This would be my first presentation outside of New Jersey. The presentation went amazing, with the students asking me so many interesting questions. This was only the start of the growth of Beyond the Chair. A few years later, one of the former principals of my town reached out to me and said his wife was interested in having me present at her school in Jefferson Township. It was so awesome to hear that my presentation was getting recommended to other schools. And it wasn't only my website doing the marketing. One night, I was out with my family at Pier 17 in New York, for Oktoberfest. Everybody was having a good time, talking and hanging out. However, one of my family members noticed that a woman kept looking at us. At first, we ignored her because a lot of people stare at me. However, something was weird. After around 30 minutes, she kept glancing over at us, so we started to occasionally look at her. She noticed that we were getting suspicious, so she came over to our table. She explained she was fascinated by my communication device and that I was the first person that she saw using the AC in a natural setting. She then explained she worked at a school with children with special needs. All of her students were emerging AAC users, meaning they were just getting started with AAC. Also, they left their devices at the school so they could not use it when they went out. Anyway, I told her about my business and how I thought I could help her students learn what is possible with a device. She agreed and invited me to come present at her school in Harlem, New York. It was my first presentation to people who also use AAC. The presentation went well, and I got a lot of unique questions. Whether it was from going out to places, word of mouth, or just being in the right place at the right time, marketing my business came in many ways. However, marketing is not as easy or fun as I have made it sound. Since the presentation in Harlem, I have been struggling to get new business. I have emailed school districts around my town. Unfortunately, I have not heard anything back from any of them. This is very discouraging because it feels like I am wasting my time writing emails because I never get responses. Also, finding actual business by going out is rare. Yes, I tell a lot of people about my business, but actually getting past that initial contact point is surprisingly difficult. So, I ask all of you, how do I get past getting discouraged and keep on marketing my business? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Does anyone need me to read the chat? Yes, okay. So, did you learn new things and write new speeches about new content? Kevin asked. Or are you recycling same things? Leslie, do you want me to read that? Okay, so Leslie says, I always add new things and a hint of recycled material with a hint of recycled material. Yeah, sorry. Other people have comments about this. And don't forget Anthony's, a lot of you had questions about AI. So
Basically, whenever I did something exciting, like going to the Grand Canyon, I put it in my presentation. Also, I change my presentation depending on my audience.
are there other hints that or comments people want to share there?
I do recycle a lot.
Don't you find as a speaker that you also learn along the way what works?
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that work? Kevin says you could add a new story like how to get around Grand Canyon without falling out of the wheelchair and infer falling at the fear of getting out of your comfort zone.
For example, tonight I learned I should tell the question story more. I saw everybody laughing.
Uh-huh. Humor. Jessica says she's going to have to leave. Do you have any last things you want to say, Jessica? Leslie says, "Yeah, I add new stories every time." Kevin says, "See you later, Jess." Jess says, "You guys were amazing." And Leslie says, "I compared high school to climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks for coming, Jess. You out of here? Leslie wants to know if everybody reads her blog, Sassy Frass with Class. And Jessica says, "Have a great night." Take care, Jess. See you next time. Um, there was a lot of questions about AI um, at the beginning. And Leslie, you see me on once in a while?
You
Okay.
can always email me. because I would love to hear what other others think and how we should have it in device devices in. You can always email me because I would love to hear what others think and how we should have it in devices.
Kevin is asking a question. Anthony, what other AI tools do you use, and which one would you want in your AAC system like tomorrow? And
I have using only I have using only Grammarly.
Do you think AI is slightly changing your original thought?
Yes. And no. I have to be careful with that. Yes and no, I have to be careful with that.
Yosun says, I am 100% with Anthony on his enthusiasm for AI. Ever since I started using ChatGPT, a handy dandy AI, I've stopped bugging my kids to proofread everything I write. As an English as a second language parent, I used to be their full-time grammar client. Now, thanks to AI, I save time and my kids no longer hide when I call their names.
Mm.
And Leslie says, I use Grammarly and Quillbot together. My family doesn't like it because I sound like a professor or whatnot. I love it because it improved my work. And Kevin says, I use the grammar AI in Word and Outlook, and I like using Perplexity to write speech outlines. Wow, you guys are rocking. There
I've never
is
heard of
a,
that.
there is, pardon?
Oh, I've never heard of Perplexity and I've never heard of Quillbot.
I also want to say that there is a presentation coming up in from Edinburgh on AI and AAC tools. And I think it is, I think the timing of it is, um, since it's Edinburgh, I think it's 7 a.m. in Pacific time and, go from there. So 10 a.m. Eastern. But if you like, I can forward that to you.
I use AI to explain things in simpler terms.
Yeah, it does help with that, doesn't it? And Yosung put the URL for Quillbot, and she says when GPT's down, I use Quillbot. Kevin said, Perplexity is like Google, but you can chat and prompt it, and it gives you good resources. Yeah. Leslie, Quillbot is like the best because it lets you write full papers on anything, and it learns your topic and learns you. She said it knows my humor now.
The only problem I have is students are using it.
Kevin says I'm using Claude for writing code. It cuts down on typing. Wow. Michael, what do you mean students are using it?
They put the question in ChatGPT and copy everything.
Really? Yo's son says AI really helps us save a lot of time. And Kevin says teachers are using it to catch students using it. So it's a cat and mouse game.
Yes,
And Leslie said, I had a gig and they said Michael gave an awesome speech last week to them about mental health. I had to follow him. Tammy, welcome back.
Thanks.
that was not me.
Different Michael.
Kevin says, so you are a tough act to follow, Mike. Leslie said, I followed him with work and quality of life. So
I
are there,
think you have the wrong Michael.
oh, Leslie, do you get that? No, she's saying no, it was you. Oh, you can take that offline, you two. So, um, any more hints for everybody about promotion and or I think Anthony, can you put your email in the chat so that people can get in touch with you? Um, and Kevin, AAC SmackDown, what does that mean?
Oh,
Between Leslie and Michael.
Anthony,
Oh, a fight.
Arnold,
Okay.
Sometimes, Michael, just take the compliment, even if it's not meant for you.
Anthony Arnold 77 at gmail.com.
Okay, there you
Thanks.
go. Thank you, Anthony.
WWE.
I have a question for everyone. But do you feel like you're having to do a lot of self-promotion to get gigs? And if so, what are you doing? Kevin's getting feisty.
And Kevin says, pass the blue moon, yo son.
Lot of self-promotion to get new clients, which I suck at.
Okay, that's yeah. I wonder, do you think it has anything to do with follow-up? And I mean, from what you were saying, Michael, one gig led to another gig led to another gig, right?
Right.
And so maybe, I mean, we really try to get um, whoever's you're doing the presentation for to write something up and then get that posted on your profile. And sometime it's been hard to do that, and you could help us a lot if you would push the people who hire you to respond to the prompt that we give them, which is please tell us how it went. Kevin says, I think we need to connect with bigger speaker bureaus and think beyond AAC classes and speech pathologist work. Absolutely. Ideas?
You want to lead that, Kevin?
You want to take the lead?
Does anyone use their profile link to speaker connection for self-promotion? Leslie does.
whole website and the website has my link to my profile on it.
Okay, that's cool.
Cost me $150 a month to get my website up, but I don't know what else to do else.
You don't know what else to
Don't
do.
think I have gotten anyone through speaker connection.
You've gotten a few mics. Well, this gig right here. But you've gotten, I think you've gotten at least one. I have to look back. We keep data.
Yeah, we have your we know exactly what happens. What we
Mm.
don't know, what we don't know is when that builds into something bigger, so that you go out and speak, but you don't let us know what where you were or what happened. And so we don't we can't promote that if we don't know about that. But we count it. If one thing leads to another, we think we should count that as on your profile.
Leslie said I spoke to two SLP classes this month. Was that through speaker connection?
Yes, ma'am. All of my songs from law, I don't do anything outside of
Okay.
I am asked a real but you are my primary like
The primary source. Your sound is cutting out a little bit, but it sounds like you were saying where the speaker connection is the primary source for your, yeah. I do remember you have yeah, I can see the spreadsheet
It
that
did not come to fruition, I don't think.
Oh, the one your connection, it didn't happen.
oh,
So one of the things that, and Tammy does all of this. So one of the things that I have noticed is her frustration with not getting responses from you all. So I'm not saying you all, who's here tonight, but that that somebody is asked to do a gig and then doesn't respond, and then we bug them and they may not respond. Um, and Leslie's asking, can I see my data? Of course you can. Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna,
Um,
love to have that so I can actually see well at your feeling and what I need to do.
I'm reminding myself to
yeah,
send it.
and I think that if we work more closely with you let us know, um, and any ideas you have that will help other speakers as well. You could promote each other, for example. Now you've had me. Why don't you try so and so? So you get more than one voice. I mean, it's not quite true that you're all the same. You know, and let's not give anybody that impression because it's quite obvious. You know, you all bring incredibly good and interesting and important things to the table, and the tables are not the same.
I have
Kevin,
noticed
go ahead. Yeah.
all of my ears have been look and sound like I can. It look like me, and talk like me.
And they look like you and talk like you.
If I get contacted, I respond immediately.
That's important. Yeah. Yeah. And Kevin says, I am trying to get people to create their profiles as I have a connection to a network, which you certainly do, and it's a powerful network. Um, so promoting each other, have people done intro videos or snippets of their ready-made speeches.
Some
And
people have it.
some people have. And you could even go on and just look at what they've done. But some of them are not actually promotional things. They're more, here I am, and here's what I do in a day, or here's me in this location or that location. So they're all very different, but I think they help. That's a great idea. Leslie, all the gigs are people who look like me and have the same ideas as me. I found that interesting.
Surprising.
Ah,
It's surprising.
On my ears, I have confidence all people who look like me, like females who look like me. I found it surprising.
Something we're doing is next day or so, I'm going to be sending out an email asking people to update their profiles because, some people have profiles that are a few years old and we're not looking how we did a few years ago. Or our experiences have changed, like a resume, we have more experience that we could put into the profiles, or maybe you want to change your speaking fee, or the topics. We have a list of topics that you can speak about. So we want to, just kind of update the profiles. Kind of like if you were on a dating app and you had to change your pictures because, you want to stay current, be current and represent, market yourself the way you really are.
yeah, I think that's important. And particularly, Anthony, with you're bringing the focus on AI, which I think is obviously everybody here uses it. We all know what little bits about what we use it for, et cetera. But I know and we also know it's coming to your AAC technologies. But we're at the beginning of something again in the field, and it'll be interesting. Final words. Go ahead, Leslie. Bye.
This was awesome.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you all have been awesome. Any other final words? On to cake, right, Yosun?
And some more.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Are we done?
Let's
Okay.
have a drink.
Okay.
Let's have a drink.
Let's have a drink.
Yeah, let's have a drink.
Skål.